Now, I remember being told that when we got this new government, it was going to be a massive clean-up operation. This lot were going to be completely different. Oh, that didn't last very long, did it? And the reason I'm sighing is because now we've had a second Labour MP suspended by the party. This is all to do with, long story short, a WhatsApp group called Trigger Me Timbers, essentially it was called. And some of the goings-on in this group, they were not that great. It ranged from, in some cases, saying F you to constituents that had the audacity to complain about bin collections, wishing some of these people dead. Cyclists complaining that perhaps he might be mowed down by a lorry. Responses coming, basically, if only we would be that lucky. Sexist stuff, racist stuff, anti-Semitic stuff, you name it. Why would MPs, Barry, even be part of these kind of groups making these kind of comments?
Michelle, I have no idea. I think what people really hate is the idea that you present one face in public and in private you're a completely different person. Now, there's a role for privacy, right? Don't get me wrong. If you're discussing policy and you are wanting to debate the merits of a policy that you're thinking about and you disagree, there's a role for that debate to be had in private. But not when you're trading insults, not when you're dissing your colleagues or your constituents. And that is just about basic respect for other people. It doesn't matter whether they're your constituents, whether they're your political opponents. I mean, look, Rupert and I, we disagree. But I hope I never say something that is disrespectful about him, and I hope he doesn't say anything disrespectful about me. We can disagree, and we can do it courteously.
There's a guy called Gerald Cooney. He's the former Labour leader of Tameside Council. He says that he flagged this group and the contents of it and the members of it and all the rest of it. He says he flagged concerns repeatedly, for example, over a year ago. Yeah. Why didn't Labour act then?
That's what I want to know. Because apparently they put that up to the regional office 15 months ago, and it is totally unacceptable. I don't know whether that was passed on to Labour HQ or whether it was sat on at the regional office. But the investigation should not just be about those people who were in the group. It should be about the question should be about those people who actually knew what had taken place and failed to act.
So these guys, they obviously, to put it basically, they can't stand the electorate. If you're going to talk about them in that way, do you think they've got any business remaining as MPs?
Look, I haven't seen the full quotes, right? In fact, I'm advised that I don't want to see the full quotes. Somebody in my office has seen them and said, Barry, you don't want to know. Some of it's racist, it's horrible, and it's about colleagues. But, we all get frustrated at times with our colleagues. We all get frustrated at times with our job. And sometimes we make off-the-cuff remarks. But it's not acceptable to make racist comments, to say that you wish somebody was dead. That's
but we know these guys have done that now.
Absolutely.
So the question then is, if that's what they've done, they've basically apologised for doing it. Have they got any business being in Parliament if they're wishing their constituents dead, laughing at them, mocking them, when people complain and say, I'm terrified, I'm a cyclist, I'm terrified, I'm going to get mowed down, responding to your mate saying, well, I hope you do. Do those people have any business being in Parliament?
I think that those people should look at their own situation and do the honourable thing.
So you think they should resign?
I think they should review the situation and do the honourable thing.
What's the honourable thing in your mind?
I don't think that people who behave like that in a disrespectful way, who make racist comments, should actually be members of Parliament.
So you think they should resign?
Well,
but why do you find that difficult? Do you think they should resign or not?
Yes, I do.
Good. I think
if I cut it short, yes, I do.
I think you should resign. I think you should get out.
But can I say, Michelle, it's not my place to make that judgment. It's for them to do what is honourable, and it's for the party to determine that they should not be in the Labour Party or Labour MPs. And that process is still underway.
Could we see some by-elections then? I think the people that will be licking their lips, if there were, is the Reform UK. What do you make to all this?
Well, I think this is a matter for the Labour Party, Michelle. When you ride to power on the sort of preachings of sort of probity, honesty, and reforming the way in which Parliament operates, and then you see grubby little WhatsApp groups like this happening, you do ask yourself, why would they do that? And I think a lot of people get their lead from their leader. And I personally think Keir Starmer is extremely duplicitous. I think this is a duplicitous way to lead your life. And for me, Labour have got to deal with it in the way they decide to deal with it. And if you follow through from what they said before the election, they really should take some quite radical action. But that's a matter for them.
What do you determine to be radical action?
Well, I think, as Barry says, they've got to have an internal investigation. There are clearly other people on this WhatsApp group. I don't know the facts, but if some of this stuff is true, then it's pretty damning towards their constituents. Yeah. But in answer to your question on by-elections, I've had a look. It would be a juicy by-election in Mr. Gwyn's seat. So I think it would be for us manna from heaven if he were to resign, or any of the others were to resign. It's a perfect time for us to be fighting by-elections. So arguably an own goal by the Labour Party, but I think it's a matter for them.
Can I just say that, Rupert, it appears that the moment that Number 10 did become aware of it, action was taken swiftly. That I welcome. Why it waited 15 months to get that information through to them, that's...
Yeah, I was going to say there's many people that would reject that and say that they have been flagging this for a very long time, as we discussed. Do you think the police should be involved in this? Because now they are. They've said that they've logged some of this stuff as non-crime hate incidents.
Well, if they've, as I say, I would have to see the full text. But if the police have seen the full text and said it's a non-crime hate incident, then no.
Do you think it's a good use of police time?
Not really, Michelle. I think there are things that the police should be concerned with, and this is not necessarily, in my view, one of them. I think this is a matter for the Labour Party. I think, sadly, it's an extremely bad reflection on Parliament again. And it seems to happen repeatedly. So if you're an elected MP, you've got to be able to tolerate the trials and tribulations of your constituents doing things that may irritate you. But often they're doing it for their own very important reasons. And I think the MP's job is to look at all those. If they think there's merit in stimulating debate about it, that's what we should do. But I think this is a matter for the Labour Party. I don't want to prejudge something I don't know the facts about, but it certainly, on the face of it, appears pretty vile.
Well, ultimately, it'll be a matter for you guys, the constituents, and that's how it works, isn't it? To force a by-election, you have to have a recall petition.
Well, you don't have to if somebody stands down.
So what do you think? Are you in one of these seats that are affected by this? And when you hear about MPs, you pay their wages, by the way, and they're talking about you like this, wishing that you will die before the next election, swearing about you, mocking you, sexist language, racist language.
Can I just say, Michelle, if it was reform, they'd be all over us like a cheap suit. You know, they would be claiming that this was a typical reform behaviour. So, again, dual standards, I think, probably here.
Well, I found it interesting, actually, that you're not being that way. So you're basically saying this is a matter for them. I don't want to kind of take the moral high ground. Is that because you have said some dodgy things on WhatsApp yourself? And
well, hopefully not, Michelle. I try not to. I think, I'm not in Parliament to say dodgy things on WhatsApp. I'm in Parliament to change the way in which we're governed, which I think is deeply worrying for me and clearly from the polls, a lot of people in Britain who are beginning to turn to a party which they hope is going to change the way in which we live our lives.
I've never been elected as an MP. The people of Hull had a lucky escape, not once but twice. But I feel like I should maybe set up some kind of online training course, how to be an MP, even basic 101. It's not difficult, surely. Do not go in WhatsApp groups slagging off your constituents. I mean, it is just absolute basics. Get in touch. Particularly want to hear from you if you are in one of these seats. What do you think should happen? Do you want a by-election? Or are you like Brenda from Bristol? Do you remember her? And you sit there going, not another one. Get in touch and let me know.